he wasn't happy with the hits he was taking and wanted to say in personnel decisions. His agent said he didn't want to trade, but they did have 4 teams he'd consider if that was the route Seattle wanted to take. Wilson addressed his interesting offseason Thursday.
In terms of the trade talks, I think that anytime you play professional sports, there's always a possibility of something happen, right? And I think that's just the reality. I think that there's a lot of teams out there that people were saying that I was going to or would go to. I requested a trade. I did not request a trade. I've always wanted to play here, and the reality is, I think calls were getting thrown around and this and that, and I think that's just a reality. But I think at the end of the day, the real reality is that I'm here, and I'm here to win. I'm here to win it all.
It wasn't me. Russell Wilson channeling some real Shaggy energy there, denying that he asked for a trade. Stephen A., are you buying what Wilson said here?
Hell no. Listen, I say this with all due respect because I love me some Russell Wilson. He's made marvelous decisions. I'd like to add that. But I will say this. It's full of it. You tell your agent that there's 4 teams. What are we supposed to deduce from that? Now, things might be better now because he talked to Coach Carroll. But the bottom line is, you put that out there. Nobody else put that out there. They make it up, and technically, theoretically, literally rather. Yeah, you didn't say, I want to be traded. But you had your agent identify preferred landing spots. We made that up? Nobody made that up.
I mean, pure semantics. It's obviously pure semantics. And far be it for me to be accused of being anti-semantic. However, let me be honest. Let me be honest about this. When Stephen A., you don't say sources close to. You don't put it out there like that. Your agent puts his name on it and says, reports, here are the 4 teams he'll be traded to, and he'd agree to be traded to. And realize this is after he came out and publicly threw his offensive line and defense under the bus. You publicly talk about how you want better protection, better defense, and then your agent puts the names of 4 teams out here that you obviously have decided you'd be okay with a trade to, and you after the fact will say, well, I never really demanded a trade or requested a trade. What is the difference? What's the difference? Well,
hold up, gentlemen, because both can be true. He can give options and at the same time not demand a trade. Both of those things can be true. Well, like basically, if things don't happen the right way with Seattle, these are the 4 teams I will go to. But I would still stay in Seattle, but I would also go to 4 teams. There's no demand there.
Well, there is no demand there. But what I'm saying is that when he's acting like it's a non-story, like, he didn't deny what was reported. He didn't deny that he had told his agents those are 4 preferred places. But why did it get to a point where you had 4 preferred places? Because you were not happy in Seattle. So no, literally speaking, you certainly did not demand, but you had a preference. It was clear.
It looks like it worked because he looks like he's okay now.
You're right. He didn't demand because a demand would be like, I'm digging my feet in. You better do this. But the question is, did he ask? And you're right if you're saying that doesn't equal a demand, Max, Stephen A. But does it equal an ask? I think it does. I think if you come out publicly and you're like, I'm not being protected, I want a defense, and by the way, I'll take a trade to these 4 teams, and you put your name on it, that to me is the equivalent of an ask.
I think it's yes, or an ultimatum. Get the job done. It looks like they did. All right, Patriots quarterback Cam Newton has been bonded. All right, we bring in a guy who knows a thing or two about winning a ring with Tampa. That would be the one and only Keyshawn Johnson. Good morning to you, sir. Stephen, I'm going to start with you. Who's the biggest threat to the Bucs?
Wow, it's a tough call. But, I'm not going to sleep on the Ravens because of Lamar Jackson and his electrifying talent, behind center and what he brings to the table. I'm also going to pay attention to the Titans because I love what they've done in picking up Julio Jones. I'm sorry. You talking about? I'm sorry.
NFC. Yeah. We're about to do AFC.
We're going AFC.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's the Seahawks.
Okay.
It's the Seahawks. I'm thinking about Russell Wilson. I'm thinking about DK Metcalf. I'm thinking about the fact that, some of the things that was bothering Russell Wilson has been handled. And I just think that, along with their experience, to me, puts them as a legitimate threat. I still think there's some question marks with Garoppolo and San Fran. I still think Stafford, even though he's got a lot to prove, is a question mark in L.A. Let's see what they do, even though their defense is real. I'm looking at the Seattle Seahawks led by Russell Wilson as being the legitimate threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, if Aaron Rodgers is still on the Packers, I'll take the Packers. And if Aaron Rodgers goes somewhere else in the NFC, I might take them. But as of right now, assuming Rodgers winds up in the AFC, give me the Los Angeles Rams. You know, there's a reason they traded 2 firsts and what was it, a 4th? Plus Jared Goff, the former number 1 overall pick who's made 2 Pro Bowls and has been a quarterback in the Super Bowl for Matthew Stafford. Because McVay looks and goes, I can't quite do what I need to do with Goff. I can with that guy. And when an offensive coach like McVay identifies his quarterback and moves mountains to go get him, that tells you something about what he's anticipating he's going to do. Now, there's change on the offensive line, but they still got Whitworth, their best offensive lineman, their left tackle. They have an offense. They have a defense. They have the best defensive player in the league. They look to me over the last couple seasons like they were ready to take the next step, if only. And it seems like they got the if only addressed. I say the Rams are the biggest threat if Rodgers is in the AFC.
Oh, boy, I can scratch my head in a lot of different places here, but I got to agree with you to a degree, Max. I think when you look at the Los Angeles Rams and everything that you pointed out at the quarterback spot, here's the problem for me, though, is the defensive side of the ball. Yes, they have Aaron Donald and they have Jalen Ramsey, but they also got a new defensive coordinator in Raheem Morris. It's not like Raheem Morris as a DC has lit the world on fire. So we got to be careful saying that this defense is going to be the same. They lose Johnson to the Cleveland Browns. Taylor Rapp falls into that position. Yes, on the offensive side, they did pick up Matthew Stafford. But Matthew Stafford is 0-3 lifetime in the playoffs. So if it's true that he has his guy at the quarterback spot, it's boom or bust for the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. There's huge pressure on Stafford. We're going to get to that later in the show. But I don't think if you're going to talk about the biggest threat to the Bucs, and we're not talking Packers because we don't know what's going to go on with Rodgers, I don't think you have to leave the NFC West. I think you could legitimately take the Seahawks, even though the offensive line and the defense hasn't been everything people wanted because of the quarterback.
Don't sleep on New Orleans just because Drew Brees is gone. Don't think that Jameis Winston is a bum at quarterback under Sean Payton. Don't think that for one bit.
I don't think he's a bum, but I do think that he's a turnover waiting to happen. And I mean, I think that he's good. I think that he's good for his 30-plus touchdowns. I think that he'll win more than he'll lose. I think that he'll be better under Sean Payton than he ever was in Tampa. I'll give him that. I'm not finished with Jameis Winston. I don't think his career is over or anything like that. But I think the expectations when you're looking at the Saints is, can he beat Drew Brees? Can he be that dude as a passer? And that answer is no, because the greatest thing about Drew Brees was his accuracy. And I don't think anybody will accuse Jameis Winston of pulling that off.
Yeah, but Stephen A., it's all about the coach putting you in the right position at quarterback to be successful and to succeed. Yes, he had some success in Tampa Bay, but they kind of hung him out to dry, having him throw the ball 50 times a game. You can't do that. You have to know what you have at that particular position.
I think people are also sleeping on the other 2 teams in the NFC West. Arizona keeps getting better. Kyler Murray keeps getting better. Yes, he does.
You can have that.
And San Francisco. San Francisco was in the Super Bowl the year before last. If Garoppolo can stay healthy or be healthy at the right time,
right.
San Francisco's live.
Why do you just want to make the Bay Area laugh if he can stay healthy? Really?
Well, they have to have a pretty good
thing. Frisco's legit. Frisco's a legit opportunity, but don't mention Arizona, man.
All right. Stephen A. says the Seahawks, Max and Key, are saying the Rams as their number 1 choice as threat to the Bucs. Now we move to the AFC. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl the past 2 seasons. We know how loaded they are, heavy favorites in the conference again. And then earlier this week, Max said the Browns are the biggest threat. Stephen A. had said the Titans and the Ravens. Keyshawn saw that segment and had a bone to pick in this edition of Keywords.
Don't start twisting my words. See, that's why I don't like to do interviews.
Shut your up.
Who scheduled this game?
I got a hell of a reputation, don't I?
I wasn't picked here to be put on the back burner.
They can't cover me. They can't cover me.
Put up awesome numbers, won a Super Bowl ring. What more can you ask for?
All that screaming.
What can you do? I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can't do anything. There's nothing. We can't do. We couldn't throw. We throwing interceptions. Just, man.
Oh, God. Yes, I do. Yeah, Molly, I do have a bone to pick with them. But I also have keywords for both Max and Stephen A. Look, man, you mentioned every team. You mentioned the Titans, right? You mentioned the Browns, the Ravens. nobody mentioned the New England Patriots, and I don't know why. Why do you not mention the greatest modern-day head coach? Mind you, went out in free agency, spent a boatload of money, something they've never done before, to shore up certain positions. They got Nelson Aguilar. Kendrick Bourne came over from the Niners. They traded back for Trent Brown from the Raiders. He had the best seasons that got him paid to Oakland at the time from New England. On top of all of that, they bring in Matt Patricia, who got hired as the defensive coordinating specialist to head coach in Detroit. We know how that worked out, but that's not his, his thing is defense. He comes in, and we know he's not probably going to be getting the title, but he's going to be calling the defense. And on top of that, Cam Newton, he's as healthy as ever. When you look at him prior to COVID, his numbers were way better than they were before. After COVID. So when you start to think about that, man, how could y'all leave out New England? I don't get it.
I only took one team, Key. I took the Browns because I think they're the biggest threat. But I think, Stephen A., I think New England's a good call. They'd be up there for me.
Keyshawn Johnson.
Yes, that is my name.
First of all, I just want to know. First of all, I love the new segment and I love the intro and all of that
Keywords.
I especially love the part where you were saying that's why I don't like to do interviews. And now here you are in the business doing interviews. I think that's hilarious. But anyway, but I'm proud to have you, my brother. I'm proud to have you as a colleague. Here's the deal that I find. I want to be careful. I want to preface this comment by saying I would encourage everyone. Cam Newton has a fly cigar bar in Atlanta, right down the block from the Mercedes-Benz. It's you gotta go to that spot, Cam Newton cigar spot in the ATL. That's one of my favorite spots. It's beautiful to go to, and I don't smoke cigars. But anyway, having said all of that, Key, here's my problem.
Let me know.
That it comes down to him. Their defense is going to be significantly better because you got about 7 to 8 bodies that come back. I have no question about their defense. I don't see Buffalo going anywhere. I don't see Miami fading. I think Miami and Buffalo are not going to be a joke. They're going to be something to reckon with. And I don't think Mac Jones is going to be ready as a rookie. So it comes down to Cam Newton, who's a stud athlete, no doubt. But when it comes to flinging that football with a degree of accuracy, I think that's going to be a challenge. And when you look at the totality of the AFC conference, and that's why the Patriots are not my number one threat to the Chiefs.
And that's okay, but you didn't mention them. Y'all didn't mention them. Y'all just forgot about them. And yes, Cam Newton
I didn't forget about him.
Cam Newton has always had accuracy problems, even when he went to the Super Bowl.
I agree.
It's not a secret.
I agree.
But you as a coach and a coaching staff need to know the throws, his best throws, the throws that he can make and execute them. And think about it for a minute, though, man. Really, who was he throwing to last year? Yes, he was dribbling balls in the ground at times. No question. But he also was putting it in the breadbasket and they was dropping it. So let's be fair and real at the same time.
Well, yeah,
They bring in Jonnu Smith. They bring in Henry from the Chargers. They're upgrading to give him the necessary help.
Yeah, right. Especially a guy like Cam Newton. Get him tight ends. They got him tight end talent. I agree with that. Look, he was 2 plays away from going 9-7 last year, coming off a catastrophic injury, new team, new system, no preseason because of COVID. Facilities getting shut down during the year because of COVID.
Max,
he got COVID. No receivers. I agree. And
Max, if he takes the football, if he takes the football against Buffalo and put it in his left arm in the sideline instead of his right arm, he doesn't fumble. If they block Bobby Wagner at the goal line,
Wagner made a
he
play.
scores.
Goal line. Yep.
That's what it is.
That's
what we
2
doing.
plays.
So that's what we doing.
Well,
that's
yeah, we doing that.
That's what we doing.
Absolutely.
That's what we doing. Well, let me ask you this question, Keyshawn and Max. And Max, I know it might be impossible, but just give me a quick answer to something. Just once in your life. Just once in your life. I mean,
look at that,
Keyshawn.
This dude's telling me quick
see what I'm saying? You interrupted before I even asked the question. Is there one season in your professional career, or in all the year that you've watched football, and you've known football, and you've played football, Keyshawn, is there one season, hell, 1 week where you have not been able to point to a play or two that's cost somebody a game?
Yes, you can.
So why y'all bringing that up?
Because if you make the corrections, if you make those if you make those corrections, we having a different conversation.
I don't even think it's about making excuses for those losses, Stephen A. Loss is a loss. You're right. The point is the Patriots were around a 500 team with everything that we just said. They had so few weapons. Brady's like, I got to get out of here.
And they won't be a 500 team then?
Whoa.
No, they
may be better than that.
Hold on.
No,
Cam has had a season with Belichick.
I said they won't be.
Cam has had a season with Belichick. Cam is healthy. Cam's got weapons, including tight ends now.
Right.
They improved the offensive line.
Stephen A.
He doesn't have COVID. He got COVID last year.
He's not dealing with COVID. He was at a 70% QBR prior to COVID. He went down to 42%
Oh my God.
after COVID.
Oh my God.
And they gotten better.
I would like to remind you that you started off and you prefaced your statements by saying he's always had an accuracy issue.
Yes.
Cam Newton and the New England Patriots are going to have an elite defense. And led by him, they're going to have a big-time running game. The question is, when it comes time to pass the ball, it's going to be an issue.
The question to you, Stephen A.
Yes.
Did they get better this offseason? Simple and plain. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if they got better, and me and Max are saying that they're a couple plays away from being 9-7, is that over 500?
Hold on. I just finished saying I believe they'll be about 9-7.
Okay.
Well, 17 games next year.
That'll make them the biggest threat to the Chiefs.
Yeah, it
Once
does.
you get to the playoffs?
No, it does. Because when you
stop it, Key.
Hey, Key, real
what you
quick.
mean? If you get in the playoffs,
what I mean. I said what I mean.
If you get in the playoffs and there's a matchup, that matchup becomes the strong contender against your opponent. What are you talking about?
Hold up. Are we forgetting that
this is all on tape? This is all on tape.
Cam has taken a team to the Super Bowl, and he was a worse passer then than he became years later.
Quiet.
Yes.
You barely had facial hair when he was in the Super Bowl. Stop it.
He was MVP
Stop
of the
it.
league. MVP
All
of the
right,
league.
so what?
I'll wrap it up by
6
saying
years ago.
Based on this conversation, we have 4 reasons why the Patriots should be better. Obviously, Key, what you said, they spent a grip in free agency more than they ever had. Cam had COVID. The other thing is they had the most players opt out due to COVID. Guys like Dante Hightower will be back. And the last thing, Tom Brady left and won a Super Bowl. So there's going to be an extra chip on everybody's shoulders, especially Bill Belichick.
I'm very serious in what I said about that cigar bar in the ATL.
That just sums up the
But you don't smoke
conversation.
cigars.
So
Really a
nice that
beautiful
you
place.
don't smoke
But you don't
cigars.
smoke cigars.
And you're telling us
I'm
how
gonna
to
remember this.
The ambiance.
The ambiance.
It's
What could that
special.
mean?
It's
Stephen A.,
special. It's
He
I'm
likes
gonna
the people
remember
that
this.
deliver the cigars.
I'm
a
going to
nice
remember
place.
this, Stephen A., in December.
You
I'm
do
going to
that.
remember this.
I ain't hard to find, Keyshawn. I ain't
I'm
hard
gonna
to
remember
find.
this.
You the one that's hard to find in L.A., New York. Where you at? You know where I'm going to be. I'm hard to find. I remember that. I remember this.
You hear what he just said,
I remember
Key?
this.
Look, peep game. He's talking about you're the one who's hard to find. L.A., New York. You know where I am. Yeah, L.A. and New York. What are you talking about?
Well, he's up, but you know where you can find me in those places. Keyshawn, you don't know where the hell he at.
All right, I'm going to make sure.